Hey, welcome back to another episode. It's your boy Smitty and your guy Tony.
What's up,
Tony?
Smitty? How's it going,
What's
man?
happening, my man?
I wish I had exciting. We get together every couple weeks,
I
and
know.
I just never have. It's the same old.
Nothing exciting to report.
Same stuff. Just a couple of guys who I've been listening to music and working a stupid job that I hate. The usual stuff.
Yeah, I don't have anything else either, Tony. I
Well,
don't have anything, man. Nothing exciting. Nothing's happening.
here's the beauty of this, and I know it's for most people. They're like, okay, well then get to the show, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We don't need to make things up to be exciting because we are talking about something that when we came across this thing, because we're looking for a deep dive to do for this week, and we always try to tie it into something that happens, the week that the show airs. And we had struggled with the previous episode trying to find something we really wanted to talk about. And then the moment we started searching for this show, I said, well, what about this? And we were both like, oh, and we started sharing memories and stories.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, this has got to be the thing. So coming up in just a few minutes, our deep dive, we are really excited about. It's a TV show, but it definitely ties to music. We loved the show when we were younger, and it kind of changed the whole genre of that type of show. It revolutionized how music was used on TV, and it debuted over 40 years ago
40 years ago.
this week.
God.
Oh,
That
it's just
hurt.
a gut punch every time I say
hurt.
the.
That hurts every time.
So how it came to be, some really cool stuff about the show. Who was almost in it instead of the stars that we know.
Yeah.
Some of our favorite memories from the show, and just a bunch of the music that was involved. It's all coming up in the deep dive, and we're really excited about that. But we decided to keep this episode kind of 80s themed. I was going to try to dress appropriately, but
Yeah, me too.
I'm actually kind of proud to say I don't really have the kind of clothes that would suit the 80s vibe here.
You didn't have a nice pink linen suit or anything like that later on?
Unfortunately, no. I didn't have something stuck back in the closet. Didn't keep any of my clothes from high school. Although if I can, so this is one of those things, and we're recording this, so when this airs, you might be seeing a picture of me from my high school yearbook dressed like an 80s person.
God, I hope. Please.
As we're talking
Please.
right now. I'll see what I can
gotta
find.
see that.
Yeah.
I got to see that.
So let's jump in. It's all 80s. We're coming up in our A to Z segment. We're giving you a look at our record collections. It's a teeny little look. We pick one record from a letter each week, and we share something about it. And we're up to J this week. I initially had a different record kind of planned out. I was going to talk about, but then when I made the comment in the last episode
About the 80s. Yeah.
about the 80s, oh, okay, well, I got to change. And the band I'm going to choose, it's kind of a divisive band for people, a very popular band.
Okay.
People either love them as they are, or they loved them before the change that happened in the band that kind of changed their path. They kind of ruled the 80s when it came to kind of rock and roll, but not super hard rock.
Okay.
I love these guys. I was a fan of them before the big changes, but especially after the big change. When I say big change, they added a new lead singer, and it really made them a different band. They started out as kind of an instrumental, jazz-focused, mixed with rock. A couple of the guys in the band had come from Santana. They started their own thing, but they were going nowhere commercially. And there are people who are big fans of that version of the band. And then this album, they already had some success with a couple of albums before this. So they, like I said, they got a new lead singer, and he changed the sound of the band in a big way. And people they started getting the played on the radio because they're writing hits now. And they knew that what they did next, they kind of had a feeling that whatever it was going to be big.
Okay.
And then right before they were getting ready to make the album, they faced a little adversity because one of the founding members, who happened to be the keyboard player and a co-lead vocalist, decided, I want out. I don't want to be in the band anymore. And so their manager was like, oh, no, you got to stay. You got to stay. He didn't know how to replace him. He's like, we need you. And he's like, no, I'm done. And this guy who was quitting recommended, hey, you should look at the keyboard player for that band that opened for us on this last tour. I think he'd be a good fit for the band. And so they went to that guy and said, hey, would you be interested? And they brought him in, and he clicked immediately with the lead singer and the guitar player, and they started writing songs. He brought some songs in that he had written for his previous band that they weren't interested in.
Okay.
And it all came together to be the band's biggest album up to that point. It is still to this day their biggest selling studio album. Their biggest selling album is their greatest hits. But I'm talking about Journey.
Journey. I was trying to figure out who you were talking about. Journey.
The album is Escape.
I should have known that one.
I chose Escape because I thought there's just kind of a better story behind it with all the changes that were going on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call this my favorite Journey record necessarily.
Okay.
I do love the Steve Perry lineup is my lineup for sure. I love them. Saw them on the Raised on Radio tour. Their last tour was Steve Perry. I still remember. God, I have such vivid memories of that. My girlfriend bought us tickets, and we went to see him in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was Glass Tiger was supposed to open for him, and nobody was really excited about that. Not that the Glass Tiger's a bad band, but we didn't know that this was going to happen. But they didn't show up. I guess that somebody was sick, but they didn't announce that they weren't going to be there. So the lights come down, and it's kind of it's polite applause. But it was like, oh, here comes Glass Tiger. Okay, we're going to get a couple of songs that we know.
Right.
And then Journey came out on stage and just started going. And everybody went bananas because, like, oh my God, no opening act. We're just getting Journey.
We want Glass Tiger.
Yeah, we were here I want to hear that. So it's a great memory for me. And I'm a big Journey fan. And I know people are funny. I prefer the Greg Raleigh. He's the keyboard player who quit.
Okay.
I prefer their version of the band. And look, they were great with him. They had some really cool songs. I think he's got a really nice voice. He's no Steve Perry, but he's cool. But I thought it was really cool of him to say, hey, that this Jonathan Cain guy who played it, because he was in the Babies with John Waite.
Okay.
And that's who they went to and replaced him with. And, Cain just brought a different kind of music style in there. He already had Don't Stop Believin' kind of worked out. He brought it to a rehearsal. They were rehearsing in a warehouse in San Francisco. And he said, I got this song. And he played him what he had. And Steve Perry was like, He said, give me some rolling piano at the beginning. Give me some piano at the beginning. So he kind of created that beginning. And then he went to Neil Schon and said, I want a guitar that sounds like a train. So if you know the song Don't Stop Believin', there's a part near the beginning where the guitar kind of goes, and it gets faster and faster. He wanted that to sound like a train because they're on the train.
Okay.
And so it's just, they had a really cool chemistry, I think, for songwriting and had a real knack. I mean, there are many who could say, arguably, Open Arms is the first power ballad to ever really have any success. And it kind of it was a template for bands after that. Everybody said, ooh, even though we're a rock band, we have to have a power ballad because Journey had such success with Open Arms. And that's another one that Jonathan Cain had written for the Babies. But John Waite was like, it's too wimpy. I don't want to, And I wonder, I would love to know if he looked back on that and said, damn, I wish I had said yes to Open Arms because I think he could have done a great job singing it. I like John Waite's voice. But anyway, Journey Escape, this thing's full of hits. I think most everybody, obviously Don't Stop Believin', which wasn't even a huge hit for them initially. I think it barely.
Really?
It broke the top 10, but I think it only went to number 9. So it wasn't like a number 1 song. It wasn't until like Glee and then The Sopranos, when they used it, that's when it became like one of iTunes' biggest catalog songs. Everybody fell in love with it all over again. The album started selling really big again. Okay. And now it's one of their signature songs. I mean, everybody knows Don't Stop Believin'. And that's Jonathan Cain. He said his dad inspired that song because he had a hard time making it in the music business. And his dad would always say, don't stop believing, son. You've got this. You can make it happen. So he said, Don't Stop Believin', kind of wrote it down as an idea. And that's where it came from. But you got Stone in Love, which is just a killer song. Great guitar open. Who's Crying Now with a great keyboard open. I love that song. Still They Ride was another big hit from this album. And then they had some rockers on there too. But then Open Arms, I think, is another one that everybody knows. If you were in high school in the 80s.
I know that one. I know that song.
You probably dedicated Open Arms to a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Call the radio station. Could you please play Open Arms? Tony,
did you do it, Tony?
I probably did. I don't remember. I wasn't a big, funny, I became a radio guy, but I wasn't a big call the radio station kind of guy.
Okay.
I think
That's
even
surprising.
then
You seem like you'd call the radio.
I was a cynical kid, just like I'm a cynical adult, because I thought, they're never going to play the song. I'm not going to
play
it. Yeah. And that's kind of how it goes. Being on the other side of that, people calling with, hey, call us with your request. We're not going to play it, but call us with it. You only play it if it happens to be coming up and you're, I'll get that on for you. Don't worry. So anyway, that's my Journey. Great memories from that band. I was really sorry when Steve Perry left. They carry on today, of course.
Why did he leave?
There was a lot of stuff going on there. He, I think, wanted a break, needed a break. His mom had died, and his relationship had broken up. He didn't want to go right back out on tour again.
Okay.
The band wanted to tour, and he didn't want to tour again. And so he had some medical issues, I think a hip problem, and he needed to get that kind of taken care of, I believe. Sometimes I get my stuff mixed up because Dennis DeYoung from Styx has some of the same stuff where he left the band because he didn't want to tour. So the stories are similar. But then, they went on, they carried on a little bit with that. They waited and waited, and then he came back, and they put out an album with him in the early 90s called Trial by Fire, which is a pretty good album. Not a great album, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
He still sounds great. I mean, obviously his voice never went anywhere. He still got the voice. But then on the back of that album, they absolutely wanted a tour. He did not want to tour.
Oh, and that wasn't his thing, huh?
Yeah, that was kind of the end of that. And so they said, well, all right, well, we're carrying on. But he still, he still gets to say, he's really got it made because he, co-wrote most of their big hits. And so he's still getting paid,
Still, oh yeah.
for all that music. Even when they play it live, he still gets a piece of that. So it was kind of a smart deal he worked up for himself.
Yeah.
And then they went through.
I'm not going to tour, but I'm still going to get paid.
Exactly. And then they went through a couple of different lead singers, who were they were pretty good. They weren't bad. How are you going to replace
Steve Perry?
You don't want to be the guy that's going to try to replace
Right,
Steve Perry.
exactly.
But then, everybody's heard it by now, but that story of how they found Arnell, their current lead singer.
No.
Neil Sean was just going around the internet, just watching videos on YouTube and stuff, and he came across, here's this kid in the Philippines. He sings cover songs. And he starts watching some of them. He's like, oh, wow. And he just did impressions, basically, of the singers. Like, he sounded just like Sting from The Police when he sang a Police song. He sang like all these different guys. He just had a real talent for it. And then he sees, it might have been Don't Stop Believin', I don't remember, a Journey. And he goes, let me watch this. And he turns it on, and dude sounds like Steve Perry. And he was like, whoa. And he called his wife and said, honey, come look at this guy. And his wife came in, and she's like, oh my gosh. And he and Jonathan Cain, I think, got on a plane and flew to the Philippines. And
is this a Filipino guy?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And they found him, and they said, hey, would you want to be in Journey? And of course, the kids was like, because he is living in poverty. He is.
Oh, wow.
It was a real rags to riches story.
Yeah.
And it's a great story. I think they did a whole feature on it on 60 Minutes back when 60 Minutes still mattered. And it was just a great story. And he took the gig, and he's still out there doing it
Still
today.
out there doing it.
And he sounds good. I think if you go see Journey, it's a much different band than it used to be, but at least you still got, Neil's still there. You still got an original member or two, not like Foreigner, who still calls themselves Foreigner and has no original members in the band.
That's wild.
I have no idea how they get away with that.
That's wild.
Yeah,
because somebody owns the name.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So that's my Journey album, Escape. I love Journey, big fan, not embarrassed to say it.
Okay. So my J album, it's not going to be as exciting as yours was with the great story and all that. I should have went first. But my album, my J album, it was released in 1986, February 4th.
I graduated from high school.
Oh, wow. You're old as shit.
Hey, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're almost as old as me. You're only a few years behind. Watch yourself.
So it was this artist's third solo album. But it was the first where she had creative control over her music. I'm giving it away already. People should
I already know who it is. It's a great album.
It was produced by my favorite producers, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. She parted ways with her father's management group, got up with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and they made magic. In this album, she reflects her personal and professional independence, breaking away from being the most popular artist in the world's little sister, and trying to she was kind of craving her own identity. So my album is Janet Jackson.
Control.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Control.
Oh, man. That is such a good
Control.
record. God, that's a good album.
By the way, this is when me and her were boyfriend and girlfriend. Picture here.
She's a doll, man.
That was my girl, along with millions of other young men. But
no doubt.
So yeah, Control is my album. She had a bunch of hits. What Have You Done For Me Lately? Nasty. Control. When I Think of You. Let's Wait a While. I love this album.
That's a monster
My favorite
record.
song, Pleasure Principle.
Yes.
Love that song. I love the video.
Song.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, right?
yeah. So with this album, she was a global superstar after this. It just went up from here. And it also cemented Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis as premier top tier producers.
Yeah. And they worked with her for every album after that for a long time, right?
A long time. Also, people don't know, it was a genre, for people that don't know, New Jack Swing. This kind of pioneered that. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis helped pioneer that genre, New Jack Swing, with this album. But it became a blueprint for young female artists back in the day.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she led the way for sure.
Oh man.
You struck a memory for me. Our senior year of speaking, because I said I graduated in '86. We took a senior cruise to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And that album was big at that moment. And you couldn't get in that club because we were you were still allowed to go to the club then.
Right.
Without hearing, Nasty or What Have You Done For Me Lately. Those songs were playing on repeat. And I have really vivid memories of that cruise and that trip with a lot of Janet Jackson music playing.
Yeah. It was everywhere back then. Everywhere you went.
So good.
Excellent album. Janet.
I did a story on that record, and one of them, I can't remember which song it was, but I remember there was one of the songs, I think it was like a late addition to the album, and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were in the studio, and she came in, and they were playing the track, because they had already written it. And she was like, ooh, that's really good. Who's that for? And they said, it's for you. And she's like, oh, wow. And it was like one of the big hits. I can't remember which one, but it was really cool how it happened. She had not even heard it yet.
Not even heard, yeah.
But when she walked in and heard it, she's like, ooh, I like this. Who's this for in there? It's for you. You can have it.
Oh, yeah.
And she tripped, of course. Yeah. That's a great choice, man. That's a great album.
Love it. And the good thing about great production, again, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, good thing about great production, you can listen to it. I don't want to say how old it is again because we keep talking about 40 years and all this stuff. I feel so old. It was released back in the day, okay?
Yeah, there you go. It works.
You can still play it, and the production is so good. It sounds so good. It definitely stood the test of time. It sounds amazing still.
You're right about that. It's a great test of music in general. When you hear a record that's that old, but it all still sounds current, it all still sounds like the quality is crazy good. Yeah, man, that's a record that will always be there. People will be able to listen to that 40 years from now and still go, God, this sounds so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Janet Jackson, Control.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, we're ready for our deep dive and excited about this one. The show premiered with a 2-hour episode. So even its premiere episode was kind of like a movie. They made it longer.
Oh, yeah.
But it happened September 16th, 1984. Changed TV, really, I think, forever. I mean, they did things with this show that had never been done. And God, I'm excited to talk about it.
For the record, when it premiered, I had just turned 12.
Okay.
Tony, you were probably about 36 when this came out.
Shut the hell up. When this show premiered, a couple of weeks before, I turned, 16?
Okay. So, I talk like I'm so much younger than you.
I know. It's like, jackass, you're only like 4 years younger than me. Yes, so it's funny that I had turned 16 because in our tiny little town where I lived at that time, a small town in Alabama, there was a stretch of road that ran by the river, and it had street lights and stuff, and it was very reminiscent of some of the driving scenes in this show.
Oh, really?
And so I was getting to drive, and man, I would put on
Phil Collins or something.
The song, we're talking about Miami Vice. Miami Vice is the show. And I would put that song on and drive down that road and be like, oh, man, am I Crockett or Tubbs? I don't know, but this is so cool. Miami Vice, I've got the first soundtrack.
I think you'd be Crockett.
I guess
I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I'm cool enough to be Tubbs.
You're not black enough to be Tubbs either.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but you're absolutely right. I'm a little light. This is a great album. The first soundtrack album, I mean, you get the Miami Vice theme, and we're going to talk about that during this deep dive, but that's the time when TV themes were like charting. They were getting played on the radio.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just this one. I mean, you can go back farther, like Rockford Files, Hill Street Blues, all those shows. I mean, their themes were so good, and I don't think kids can understand that now because there's really no intro to TV shows. It just goes right in because nobody has the attention span. Can you imagine sitting through a 90-second song before you got to watch your TV show? God. That's what happened. These were real themes, and they were like, they built them out. But you get Smuggler's Blues, Own the Night, Shaka Khan, You Belong to the City, Glenn Frey, In the Air Tonight, Vice, Grandmaster Melly Mel, Better Be Good to Me, Tina Turner, which we talked about a couple episodes ago, and then some instrumentals. But it's a great one. And the show itself, what can you say about Miami Vice? It changed not only TV stuff, but it changed like pop culture things. Fashion and all this, the cars. I mean, there's all these things that happened. So we'll go to the beginning, and the conception of the show, it's a little unclear. There are two different stories. And I love the story, the first story, although I don't think it's necessarily true, but it's pretty cool. One version states that the head of NBC at the time, Brandon Tartikoff, had a little brainstorming thing, and he wrote a memo on a little Post-it note that just said MTV Cops. This and that's all he had. That should be a show. And he presented it to the guy who created the series. His name's Anthony Yerkovich. He also worked as a writer on Hill Street Blues.
Oh, okay.
But Yerkovich says that's not true, which is a shame because it's a great story.
That's a great story,
I know. But Yerkovich says that's not how it happened. His quote was, Brandon didn't start telling people that ridiculous story of writing MTV Cops on a napkin until at least 14 months after the pitch meeting. So not necessarily true. Yerkovich said, I actually came up with this. I came up with the concept of the show after I learned about asset forfeiture statutes that allowed law enforcement agencies to confiscate the property of drug dealers and then use it. So like the cars, the fancy cars, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. He says, I thought, there's something to this. And so the initial idea was going to be a movie, which they eventually made a Miami Vice movie, which was a travesty.
Trash.
But it was going to be a movie about a pair of vice cops in Miami, and they were going to do that. But then he was able to sell it as a project to NBC. They said, we want a weekly drama. Let's do this thing. So he started working on the pilot script. And they were originally going to call it Gold Coast. and then they renamed it Miami Vice. I don't have a story
Gold
behind that.
Coast. I didn't know that.
And they said they based the scripts loosely on actual crimes that occurred in Miami over the years. They would take those real true crime stories
Right.
and say, all right, let's make this an episode. Let's do this, And the first, especially for me as a kid, the first couple of seasons were the best.
Yeah.
Really high quality. They had, it was a little lighter. It got kind of dark, third, fourth, fifth season, and they kind of changed. And they brought on Dick Wolf, the Law and Order guy. At one point, Michael Mann left. And Michael Mann, who still, I think, makes great entertainment. Like, I love his movies. His style, like Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Best movies ever.
It's such a great movie. And when you watch it, it's like, man, this is like watching Miami Vice, because the style that he uses to shoot and the things he does, like, he just has that way. And that cinematography, I mean, they said they based it a lot about the new wave culture of the 80s, and they wanted everything to look a certain way and be, I guess they started, they were going to film in LA, but then they said, no, we got to shoot this in Miami. And they actually repainted and fixed a lot of old broken down buildings so they would look like the Art Deco style of Miami that people knew. So they really did a lot to bring up some of the neighborhoods in Miami, kind of back to life. They did things that had never been done. And I guess the music was the biggest part of it. No TV show up to that point had ever just had like a music video in the middle of it. No TV show said, let's take 3 minutes and not have any dialogue. We're just going to show two guys driving down the road with some music behind it. And of course, shows later, Baywatch did it, and a lot of other shows too.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the show's directors said, the show is written for an MTV audience, which is more interested in images, emotions, and energy than plot and character and words.
Yep.
But it worked. For that time, I'm 16. My buddies and I, on a Friday night, we wouldn't even go out until Miami Vice. We'd stay home and watch Miami Vice. Total nerds. Stay home and watch Miami Vice, and then we'd go out and have fun and do it. Meet our friends or do whatever we were going to do. But that's how big that show was. It was such a cultural phenomenon. Were you like that? Did you? How did?
It was huge. I liked the show, but again, I had just turned 12. So in the beginning, I probably didn't make it through many episodes, the whole episode. Okay. At 12 years old, I had other things I was interested in. But I do remember the show. I remember how big it was. The whole 80s thing was huge, the clothing. But I just remember that car. Oh, yeah. I wanted that car. That's all I remember. That car. I wanted the car. But they were just super cool. I always thought they were super cool. I want to be a cop.
Yeah, I bet there were a lot of people like, ooh, this is, except for the getting shot at part, this would be really cool.
Yeah, getting a nice car, and hot chicks, and
what's
all the cocaine. And
Did you go back later and watch the show at all?
Absolutely. When I got older, I went back and watched. I think I had VHS tapes way back in the day, the whole series.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Miami Vice. That show was great. Great.
You could tell. It was a hit almost immediately. People loved it, and I think that first season got like 15 Emmy nominations, which at that time was unheard of. Shows didn't get that kind of. It was wild.
Yeah, but the music was definitely one of the high points when I was that age watching the show. I loved the music. It always had great music.
And that's what that show was about. It's like they said, it's for an MTV audience, and it was about the look, and it was about the sound.
Yeah.
And Michael Mann had a really heavy hand about that. This is crazy. They said he had a rule: there were to be no earth tones in this production. I don't want brown. I don't want that kind of stuff. I want it to be all Art Deco. I want it to be. So another director said there are certain colors you're not allowed to shoot. If the script said a Mercedes-Benz pulls up, the car people will come out and they'll show you 3 or 4 different Mercedes. One will be white, one will be black, one will be silver. You will never get a choice of a red or brown one. He said Michael Mann knows how things are going to look on camera, and he wants it to look his way. And I didn't think about that. I kind of want to go back and watch now. To see some of those things. It was one of the first American network television shows that they broadcast in stereo.
Oh,
it's hard to even think about that now because everything is broadcast that way. But
I never knew that. I never
they weren't doing it. So they mixed it for stereo because they knew it had to sound great because they're using all this music and stuff.
Right.
They said each episode of the show cost about $2 million to make.
Are you serious?
Which is mind-boggling for that time.
80s.
To spend that kind of money on an episode of television. And then later you think, okay, well, every cast member of Friends was making $800,000 an episode. No big deal. But in the early 80s, to spend that money is nuts. So we'll talk a little bit about the casting. And I didn't know this until researching for this deep dive. Some of the people that were supposed to be on the show. So initially, Nick Nolte and Jeff Bridges were considered.
I think I heard that one.
I did not know that. But at the time, It's not like it is today where like movie stars are like, oh, I'll do TV. And yeah, if it's a
No,
good show.
that was a no back then.
Yeah, back then you wouldn't lower yourself to do
I
television.
wouldn't dare do television.
Yeah, so they didn't do it. Mickey Rourke was considered for that role.
Okay, I can see that. I can
He
see
turned
that.
it down, though. I guess he wanted to be a movie star.
Right,
He hadn't had that big break yet at that point. Yeah. Larry Wilcox from Chips.
Really?
Punch and John. He was John.
I definitely couldn't see that.
I couldn't.
Can't see it.
I just don't think he's cool enough to play that role. I met him at Disney World.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How
when I
was
was a
he?
kid. Very nice. He was a nice guy. I think I was 12 years old. He was sitting there eating ice cream, and two ladies had come up and talked to him, and I said, hey, that's John from Chips. And I went over and said, hey, it's nice to meet you. And he was like, hey, it's nice to meet you. He shook my hand.
John
He was
Baker. Wasn't it John Baker?
I think so, yeah. He was very cool. Very nice
Where's
guy.
Punch?
Yeah, I want to meet Punch. Well, we don't hang out. That's on TV. Anyway, so they didn't think it was smart for him because to go from one police role to another. Plus, like you said, I don't see him fitting there. He seemed a little too clean cut.
Yeah.
They had dozens of candidates. They delayed shooting the pilot twice because they couldn't get it cast the way they wanted it. And then they finally got Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas to be in it. But what's crazy is after the first two seasons, and it was such a big hit, Don Johnson threatened to walk away. He said, I want more money.
Right.
So there's a big contract dispute, and they were ready to replace him with Mark Harmon. Remember Mark Harmon?
Yeah, I remember Mark Harmon.
He had just left St. Elsewhere, another NBC show. And
Didn't he play Ted Bundy?
Did he?
In the movie, on TV movie? Was it Mark Harmon?
I honestly don't know.
Never mind.
I know old people love Mark Harmon because he's on that. He was on that. God, I don't watch the show. It was a CBS show. Is it NCIS? The original NCIS?
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode.
Yeah.
Don't let the gray hair fool you.
NCIS.
Yeah, I don't watch those shows. But yeah, so they were going to replace him, but then they figured it out with Don, and he came back, and they shot the rest. So let's talk about the music for a second. This list of artists, and this is crazy. So the music itself was huge, and they would get big underground or new wave kind of bands that they really wanted that kind of stuff, or classic rock guys.
Right.
So we'll talk a little bit about the music, and then to come back and talk about not only did some of these guys contribute music, they also got on the show. They also acted on the show.
Oh yeah.
And some of them in some
of our favorites.
The best known. So music-wise, you got Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, both of The Who, El DeBarge, Duran Duran, The Power Station, Devo, Sinead O'Connor, Jackson Browne, Kate Bush, Meatloaf, Bryan Adams, Tina Turner, Public Image Limited, Peter Gabriel, Pink Floyd, ZZ Top, The Smiths, The Tubes, Dire Straits, Depeche Mode, Iron Maiden, Alan Parsons Project, Godley and Cream, Corey Hart, U2, Foreigner, The Police, Ted Nugent, Suicidal Tendencies, The Damned, Billy Idol, Billy Ocean, Eric Clapton. I mean, the money that's why the episodes were $2 million.
Yeah.
Filming it in stereo and having to pay for the rights to that music, which shows had never done before.
Yeah.
And to not just use a snippet, but like make a music video. Because that In the Air Tonight is one of the most iconic scenes of Miami Vice. That first episode, Crockett and Tubbs driving down that Miami road with the ocean behind him, In the Air Tonight playing. I mean, that's the stuff. But then you get some of these artists. Glenn Frey, the Smuggler's Blues episode.
Yeah.
Where he played the smuggler. And, he wasn't bad. He's a decent actor. He was in Jerry Maguire down the road. But the song was great. Him getting to be on it was really cool. Phil Collins was on an episode. He played I want to say he played two different characters, maybe on two different episodes.
He was Phil the Shield, is what they called him.
Okay, yeah.
I remember him on there. Yeah.
He was like a game show host on.
Right.
Yeah, on one of them.
And my guy, Miles Davis, was on the episode. He played a pimp/drug dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's a great one.
J.J. Johnson was his name.
Yeah. Boy.
Talk about stereotypes.
I was just about to say, man, guys.
J.J. Johnson, the pimp drug dealer.
I mean, really?
Like, really, man? Come on. Really?
Yeah, seriously. Leonard Cohen was on the show.
Little Richard was on there, I remember.
Yeah, Willie Nelson was on an episode, I think. Ted Nugent, who I'm not a fan of, but he was on there. Frank Zappa. Fat Boys were on there.
Yeah, I remember that. Sheena
Gene
Easton
Simmons
played Sonny's wife on the episode.
Yeah, she played his second wife, and then she ended up getting killed, I think. Spoiler alert.
I think so.
I mean, the show's
I think she,
Yeah, but, and then same with the music thing, Jan Hammer was the guy who wrote the theme, and that theme went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was a #1 hit.
Yeah,
a TV theme.
I remember
That's
that.
how big this show
was.
It
everywhere.
It won 2 Grammy Awards, and then he came. A song I actually like even more than the theme was Crockett's theme, which they used down the road. I want to say, if you heard it, you'd probably recognize it, but it's got a really cool nighttime driving vibe going on too. I think they used it in like the season 2 premiere, maybe.
Okay.
But it was great. And then you think about the clothes and the fashion. You couldn't see a teenage kid not trying to beg his mom, you got to buy me a suit. I want to look like Crockett. I want to look like Tubbs.
With,
the Ray-Bans.
with no socks,
No
some loafers.
Yep, all those things. It was just wild how it just had such an influence on pop culture and fashion. Like in the 80s, the early 90s, and even some of the things that have come back.
Oh, yeah.
Kids don't even realize that they're doing it.
Where
they're
it
like,
came from.
Yeah, they have no idea that they're dressing like Miami Vice, which is kind of funny and a little bit of a joke
crazy.
for those of us who lived it back in the day. But what a show.
Yeah, but great show.
Only,
How many seasons did that come on?
Five.
Do you remember?
I do.
Five.
Yeah, five seasons, which is funny. You talk about a show like this that's so influential, so much
Seems
music.
like it was on forever.
And you'd think, it had to be like 7, 8 seasons. And
Yeah.
it was only 5. Ratings started kind of dropping in the 3rd season because, like I said, they started getting a little darker, and it lacked some of the fun that it had in those first couple of seasons. And then, again, when Michael Mann left and handed the reins over, Dick Wolf, who went on to great success with Law and Order.
Oh, yeah.
But they were they were pulling just darker stories, and I think the fans were just like, we don't want this.
Nah.
So that 5th season, I think they had 3 or 4 episodes that didn't even air for that 5th season.
Oh, wow.
They cut it pretty short.
They just cut it.
Then in the summer, when the reruns happened, back in the early days of TV Boys and Girls, they would show reruns in the summer. You didn't get new television in the summer.
Reruns.
Everybody took a break, and they just re-showed old shows.
Yeah.
So they called them the lost episodes of Miami Vice. But they were just episodes they didn't get around to showing in the season because they wanted to cut it short. And it's interesting, too, I guess. Don Johnson didn't have a ton of success prior to this. He had done some shows that didn't really pan out. So this was a big break for him. Philip Michael Thomas, I don't think anybody even knew him. And he wanted,
major.
They both wanted to be singers. Don had some success with, Heartbeat was a big hit for him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Philip Michael Thomas, I think, put out a record, too, but he didn't get that. Yeah, exactly. Didn't get that success. And it's interesting to me because he seemed like a talented guy, but you go post Miami Vice, and Don Johnson's career, he had some ups and downs, but he kept working movies,
he
TV.
Did.
But Philip Michael Thomas
they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, he never really was able to make anything else happen. And I don't know if it because he got typecast as that kind of character or in that role or what, but it's almost sad when you see an actor who does so well on a big show like that and they can't parlay it farther. If he wanted to go farther, maybe he decided he didn't want to act anymore. I don't know. I don't know what was in his head, but I feel like when you had that success, you probably want to keep going.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so there's our deep dive on Miami Vice.
I always wonder what guys like him are doing now. Like, what are you doing now? And how do you survive all these years and you're not really working much?
Yeah, because, you make royalties, but they go down over time.
Yeah, I follow some of these actors that show their royalty checks for even big popular shows, and it's like pennies.
Yeah, I can tell you, I still get.
Oh, right, you do. Yeah,
a check but only a couple episodes. Like we were on bad shows, but the one that shows up the most. What's funny is I don't get that much royalty stuff from the bigger role that I had on a different show. It's this. I think we had 2 or 3 lines on this particular episode of Renegade, and every once in a while I go to the mailbox and I get it's a check from SAG, and I'll open it up and it's like, they aired this episode in Denmark last month, and I just got paid 15 cents. Woo!
Hey, Renegade, did that show come on like after Silk Stockings?
Yes, which I was also
You
on.
remember?
Yeah.
I used to like that show.
Oh, of course you did. What guy didn't?
Oh, yeah, of course I liked it.
That was all filmed on the same lot. Silk Stockings was filmed there. Pensacola Wings of Gold, which we were on.
I remember that.
Renegade, 18 Wheels of Justice, the guy who,
I don't
the Diet
remember
Coke guy.
18
You
Wheels
remember
of
the
Justice.
Diet Coke guy, the big commercial where the good-looking construction guy's drinking a Diet
Oh,
Coke?
yeah.
They gave him a TV show. And
They
and
gave
this,
him a
and
show
this
from
was
that
it.
commercial.
Nice guy. Lucky
Yeah.
Banos was his name. And he taught us a lot about like how not to get cut out of scenes, like how to make sure you're in the right shot.
Place. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was very nice. But the show was terrible. He ran like this private eye thing out of the back of a truck. They would travel wherever, and that's what 18 Wheels of Justice. Yeah, so that was a big
That's
thing.
funny.
Yeah, so Phil Michael Thomas, he looks good. We'll get this picture up. So what's he doing? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm always curious.
He's retired.
Okay.
Retired American actor musician, best known for Tubbs, obviously. His first notable roles were in Coonskin in 1975 and opposite Irene Cara in 1976, film called Sparkle.
Yeah.
So it says, after his success at Miami Vice, he appeared in numerous made-for-TV movies and ads for telephone psychic services.
Oh, God.
He voiced the character Lance Vance in the video game Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which we've talked about previously, and the Vice City Stories, little mini-games.
Okay.
You'll like this, Smitty, as do I. Both of us are Ohio natives. He is also an Ohio native.
What? I didn't
He was
know
born in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
But he grew up in San Bernardino, California.
Okay.
But yeah, so after Miami Vice, it's just like a mini series. He was on 2 episodes of Nash Bridges with Don Johnson, so they reunited.
Yeah,
for a special
that show.
And that's pretty much it. He did the one album. He did 2 albums. I'm sorry, 2 albums, but nothing happened from those. And then he was those Psychic Readers Network TV commercials. He was replaced with Miss Cleo, so he did those commercials before Miss Cleo was on them.
I think him and Dionne Warwick used to do them.
And that's pretty much it.
Wow.
Kind of sad. So so
it
he
is
was
sad.
in a movie called Fate in 2003.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I don't think I've heard of any of these movies he was in.
And I knew Sparkle. He was in that one. I knew that one.
Oh yeah, that's the only one I know. And then TV-wise, after Miami Vice, it was a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. Swamp Thing. Oh man, dude.
Oh God.
That Nash Bridges boy.
It gets worse.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah. You know, if you heard somebody say, oh, that person's got an EGOT.
Yeah.
He coined the term.
Really?
He made that up. Yeah, he was the first one to say
Emmy,
it.
Grammy, Oscar, Tony, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, he did.
So he's famous for that.
And he probably didn't win any of those, did he? No, he may have won a Tony. Maybe.
Cold-blooded.
You know what? I'm being mean to Tubbs. I'm sorry, Tubbs.
No, I don't think
if you're watching Tubbs, I'm sorry.
Getting all these artists. You first share a couple episodes ago. Now you got, this is terrible. We're going to have all these people on us.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Music is the Glue podcast sued for Smitty being mean.
Tubbs, we'd love to have you on and talk about it.
Oh, man, I'd absolutely love to have him on. It'd be fascinating.
I'm surprised you haven't interviewed him, Tony.
No, I haven't. Days. I don't think I've interviewed Don Johnson either.
Really? Okay.
I don't think so.
Surprised.
Although I forget sometimes. My business partner will say, remember when we talked to so-and-so? And I say, we talked to them? No recollection. We've talked to so many people. It's crazy. Okay. Well, there's our deep dive. Keeping that 80s theme. And we've done this one once before. I think the last album we did a re-review of was an 80s album. It was Whitney Houston's debut. Yeah. This one was huge. And this album basically saved the career of the band. They had kind of one hit from their previous album, which Mutt Lange, the master producer, Mr. Magic, he co-wrote the song and he produced it. But the record label was like, guys, we can't keep doing this. You gotta give us something. You gotta have a hit. They needed a hit to stay alive. They made this album and they had 5 hits. It was ranked the number 2 album of 1984. It sold over 7 million copies. But does it still hold up today? We're looking at Huey Lewis in the news. Sports. Both of us holding up our copy. Oh, you got the hype sticker on yours? Nice.
Yeah. Hey, this was $6.99.
Wow.
$6.99. Can you imagine?
This is an original copy too, but I don't know. I don't have any of the stickers, so I don't know.
Yeah, $6.99.
That's crazy. So a re-review, what we do here is just basically take a look at this and talk about the songs. We don't play them obviously because we don't want to get sued, but it's hard. Some 80s albums you listen to, you have great memories of. For me anyway, because the 80s, that was kind of my formative years as a teenager. I know you, Smitty, a little younger than me, so not quite there.
Yeah, that was my 80s was all me. Absolutely.
But I listen back to some of this. I have a lot of albums from the 80s, obviously, and I'll put them on now and go, why did I like this? This sucks. or a couple of songs I like, but then the rest of them was like, God, this was garbage. I can't believe I bought this record. This album, for me, as a whole, I believe is still fantastic. And I kind of make a judgment on some of these 80s albums. If I put the record on and one of my kids is in the room and they like it, they're like, ooh, I like that song. Or, To me, that says, okay, well, this is holding up because the next generation also likes it. So song by song, and I don't really have any big stories on these, but The Heart of Rock and Roll is the first track on the album. And one thing I do know about this is Huey wanted to call it something else, or he wanted to sing a different line. He wanted to say The Heart of Rock and Roll is in Cleveland.
I remember that, yeah.
Because they did a show there, and the audience was incredible, and he had this big high, and he said, and the other guys in the band were like, well, Huey, it's kind of a narrow tight, or kind of a narrow mention. Don't you think we could maybe change that to open it up to something a little bit more? Obviously, Cleveland will love this, but what about the rest of the world?
What about the rest of them? Yeah.
And so they made that change to the lyrics, which I think was a pretty smart idea. Actually, as good as Huey is, I mean, you can make some mistakes. But that was a big hit, obviously. And then, to have an album, and again, it's good when you go, oh, that's a big hit. And then the next song that starts, Heart and Soul, bam, another big hit.
Another one.
And this is an interesting one for me because, you remember the band Exile?
Not by name, maybe.
I Want to Kiss You All Over. Remember that song? I want to kiss you all over.
I do.
big
Don't ruin
70s.
it. Don't sing anymore.
No, I'm big 70s hit for that band. They never were able to get anything else going in the rock world. That was the only hit they had as a rock band. But they went on to be very successful country artists.
Really?
Yeah, they became kind of a country band, and they had a bunch of hits in the 80s.
Okay.
But one of their songs was Heart and Soul. And it wasn't a hit for them, but Huey Lewis and the News took it and dressed it up a little bit, jazzed it up, made it a little faster, and they made a big hit for them. So the two guys who wrote it with those, the other band, Exile, were
I
like,
didn't know that.
thank you very much for this.
Oh,
Bad
yeah,
is
I bet
Bad.
they loved it.
I love Bad is Bad. Do you like that song?
It's okay. It's okay. Wasn't one of my favorites.
See, for me, I love the vibe of that song. It kind of a cool, because you think Huey Lewis, you think mostly that really fast, poppy, upbeat stuff. And I don't know. I kind of like the groove of Bad is Bad. So for me, that song works. We disagree.
My song was Heart and Soul. I like that one.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that
I
was
really
a big,
like that song.
That was a big tune.
Yeah.
My favorite song on this album is on side 2, which we'll get to in just a moment.
Okay.
And then I Want a New Drug. I mean, come on.
That video, oh God, they played it all the time.
Well, it's
a good video though.
It is a good. I mean, they made entertaining videos, and they were definitely, I think, helped along with this album by MTV.
Oh, absolutely.
You couldn't turn on MTV and not get this record. The idea for that song, I guess Huey was in a car going to his lawyer's office, and he just had the idea, and so he wrote down a bunch of the lyrics. When the car pulled up, he's like, "Hang on!" He had his little notebook, and he's writing down the lyrics, and he couldn't get it to music. He couldn't get the music feel, so he gave the song. And I guess this happened a lot in this band. It's like one person would come up with either some lyrics or some song stuff, and they would hand it off to somebody else and say, "What can you do with this?"
Yeah.
And so he did that. He gave it to the guitarist and the bassist, and then they said, "Okay, well, we can come up with that." And they wrote the music for the song. And then, of course, the big story about I Want a New Drug is also the lawsuit, because they wanted Huey Lewis to sing the theme to Ghostbusters.
Oh, Ray Parker. Yeah, that's right.
Ray Parker Jr. did Ghostbusters, and Huey Lewis said, "Hey, that sounds an awful lot like I Want a New Drug."
Sounds a little familiar, buddy.
They wanted Huey Lewis in the News. They kind of got him because they stole our song. So there was this big to-do, and what's crazy is, Ray Parker got in trouble and had to pay an undisclosed amount. Then they had this big agreement not to talk about it. Well, then Huey got in trouble because he did.
About it.
Yeah, like on Behind the Music or something. I can't remember where it happened, but they talked about it. So Ray Parker Jr. said, no. So he sued them. And
Get some of that money back there. Yeah.
It was pretty wild how that went, but it's a great song. I really like the song. Walking on a Thin Line. Now we're on side 2. Your thoughts on that one? It wasn't one of their
That's
biggest
one of the
hits.
ones that it doesn't stand out to me right now. I can't even remember how the song goes.
I won't sing it. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I like it a lot. Again, not one of the biggest hits from the record, but I think it's definitely catchy, worthy of being a hit. They wrote this with so this band was called Clover before it was Huey Lewis and the News. Most of the guys in this band actually were the backing band for Elvis Costello on his first record. So they played on. Now Huey wasn't needed because he only played harmonica, and they didn't need a harmonica.
Right.
But yeah, they were produced by Mutt Lange, and
everywhere. Huh?
They could never get off the ground as Clover, and that's when all those changes got made. And yada yada. But anyway, so one of the former members of that band co-wrote this, and it was about basically the poor treatment of veterans who were coming home from the Vietnam War, and pretty good. And I finally found a home. That was one I had to go back and listen to again. I didn't really remember that song.
That's another one I don't really remember.
Yeah, so I know that it was, I guess it was an offhand comment that one of the guys in the band made about ticky-tacky houses near an airport.
Oh, okay.
And then they went from there and made this song. But that is one, that's kind of a forgettable one for me on this record. And then my favorite song on the record, If This Is It.
That's a great one, yeah.
I love that song. Great video.
Yeah.
Really fun, and just a great song.
I think I heard that a couple of days ago. Yeah.
It's a
good song.
You know those songs are getting played on those classic stations a lot.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
You Crack Me Up. It's okay.
I kind of remember it, but it wasn't one of those ones where like, oh, yeah, I love this song.
I like it in that what it's about, because I guess they wrote it based on actual real people that they had met in the parking lot of this bar that they used to play a lot before they got their success. So it's kind of like Billy Joel's Piano Man. It's based on the real people that they knew or experienced, at this place they played. But yeah. And then Honky Tonk Blues, old Hank Williams song.
Honky Tonk Blues.
Which is kind of cool. Different for them. So do you get the thumbs up or the thumbs down for this? Here's a classic 80s album.
I give it a thumbs up, but I got to be honest, I kind of stuck to the the ones I knew because, again, MTV, they played all the hits. So those 5 songs,
Yeah.
except for Walking on a Thin Line, that song was okay for me. It wasn't like, oh, I love that song. But the rest of them, oh, yeah. And again, Heart and Soul was my favorite, and If This Is It was my second favorite. But yeah, that was a great album.
Still so many catchy songs. You see why it was such a hit.
Yeah.
And like I said, my test is if my kids say, oh, that's kind of cool, I'm like, okay, well, if they're liking it, then it must have something. It was big. It had, I think it got some Grammy nominations.
Yeah.
It did, it sold well overseas. It was just Huey did an interview with Billboard magazine a few years ago, and he said, back in the day, you wanted your albums to have a theme. And Sports Theme was really a collection of singles. It was really a record for its time. In the 80s, the way radio was programmed, if you didn't have a hit record, you weren't going to be able to make any more records. That was it, period. So our priority was, our priority was to come up with hit singles. Everything we wrote was aimed for radio because we didn't know which one was going to be a hit. Right. We knew we needed a hit, and fortunately, we got them.
I definitely think it stands up, though. I definitely think it stands up. Still sounds good.
Yeah, and I think part of it too. I mean, you got. It's not just like a rock band. You get that saxophone in there, which is kind of cool. It kind of makes it sound a little different.
Can't go wrong with the sax,
Yeah. Although I'll say my favorite Huey Lewis song is still "Do You Believe in Love," which was from the album before this. Picture This.
That was a good song.
I love that song.
That's
a song that I could hear every day, and I would never get tired of it. So
I like that. That's a good song.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the re-review, and it looks like we agree that Huey Lewis and the News Sports does stand up.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So next time, when we come back in a couple of weeks, we want you to make sure you're with us. We are pretty excited about this, and we've got a new thing that we haven't done before, a little top 5. Speaking of a song I can hear every day and never skip, Smitty and I will put together our own top 5 lists of never skip songs.
Never skip.
It's a song that if you heard it every day, literally, you'd be like, I'm good with this. I can hear it twice a day. I love it that much.
Yes.
And it's going to be honestly hard for me to narrow it down to 5 because I've got
I've got plenty.
Yeah, a lot of songs. I'm trying to think. I want to make my number one special, though, because I think it's one that I could hear 2 or 3 times a day, and I would never turn it off.
Okay.
And it's an 80s song. I think you'll know it.
80s, man.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm nostalgic for the 80s or what's going on, or just the music happens to be that. I'm not sure. Also,
is that when you were at your peak, Tony? 80s.
I don't like to think it was my peak, but it's good memories. It's before I became an adult and life turned to crap.
No bills.
I didn't. Yeah, no I didn't know how good I had it.
Right.
I'd complain back then, but now I look back and go, God, man, what was
taking me back?
Everything. Yeah, everything's taken care of for me. My parents are paying for everything. This is the best. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, I can't pay for anything. I have my own problems. Damn it. Our deep dive. It's an artist that Smitty and I both absolutely love.
Man.
And the week that the show is going to air is kind of a celebration of life for this artist. He passed away that week, but we want to celebrate his life because he was immensely talented. He's a legend of his genre, but not only of his own genre. He changed music in general.
Absolutely.
Like what could be, what was going to happen, with sounds that could be made. So you want to hear it. If you're a fan of jazz, you'll absolutely want to make sure. Yeah, you're part of that deep dive. And our A to Z will be up to the letter K.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I already know the album I'm gonna talk about.
I don't know yet. I don't know. K.
I've got some good Ks. I've got some K bands because I know people sometimes are like, you guys always pick albums that everybody's heard of. You're so generic. You're so white bread about it. And I was like, well, I'm not trying. I mean, sometimes the albums that we happen to love for that letter. But I do have a band that with my K I could pick that I guarantee you 70% have never heard of.
Ah, okay.
But the one I really want to talk about, though, is the first rock album I ever owned, and I had to hide it from my parents.
I bet I can guess it.
I'll bet you probably. I'll bet you can guess the band, even if you don't know the specific album.
I can guess the band. Yeah, it's all off air.
So we'll see. All right. That's all coming up in the next episode, and we are super happy that you're listening or watching this one, and we hope you'll come back and do it again, man. Please.
Like, share, follow, do all that stuff. We appreciate it. Leave reviews, please.
I see, I'm going to work a couple of podcast groups on Facebook, and I see these people who just started, like, oh, I'm only getting about 200 downloads a month. But I'm like, God, 200 a month?
Right.
I'd kill for 200 downloads a month. What are we doing wrong? So help us.
Again, we got to do better advertising. I got to start posting more.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
It's all on you, Smitty.
It's on me. I'm the head of marketing over here. I'm failing miserably at my job.
We want you to look. We need your help too. It's grassroots, baby. So you share and you tell your friends about it. Say, hey, check this out. That'd be helpful for us.
Hey, remember, no matter the age, no matter the genre, music is the glue that holds us together. Until next time, Smitty, Tony, peace.
See you guys.